I'm Mike Huether, and I'm the proud mayor of Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
Mike Huether has devoted his life to public service. His efforts to improve conditions for the citizens of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, have made him a popular mayor. Faith and family are important elements of this mayor's life.
Whenever I do something, I want to try to do it as uniquely as possible and try to make it impactful. I do that, my bride does it, my daughter does it. To me, it's just, if you're going to do something, try to go the extra mile with it. I am a guy who, I do like to control things, I like to influence things, I like to manage things. But what I've learned is I've grown and matured and, gotten some gray hair and again, more crust on my body, is that as much as I want to control this life, you find out that ultimately you're not in control.
On today's Experience Jesus Calling podcast, we hear the story of a man who lives out his faith daily as a public servant, but also as a husband and a father.
It's a unique story. My folks were divorced when I was in the fifth grade. I'm the oldest of four kids. My mom, very influential part of my life. My dad struggled with alcoholism, so his support to the family was limited at best. So here we had this mom and four kids, and we struggled in all kinds of ways. I was struggling. Why me? Why my family? Why don't we have any money? Why do people look at me and my family differently? And so yeah, it was a challenging time for me, but I think it ultimately it made me stronger too. It was in the sixth grade, I entered this speech contest, and here I was. I had a helmet head for a haircut. I had red velvet sewed on the end of my jeans so that they'd last longer. My grandma sewed my underwear and my socks, and I had bad buck teeth and not a lot of confidence at the time. But I entered the speech contest, and ultimately, with the help of my mom, preparing for it, guess who won the speech contest? It was me, and it really was a turning point in my life. You know what? If I can do this, maybe I can do some other things. And from there, I went on to really kind of tackle some leadership things. I was the president of my junior class at Yankton High School, president of my senior class. Was elected the vice president of South Dakota State University as a young sophomore, and then went on to do some a bunch of leadership things in corporate America and nonprofits and life and so yeah, it really was the beginning, that simple little speech contest, and that was kind of one of the things that really got my blood going when it came to leadership and public service. Once you get even just a wee dose of confidence, then I think you can tackle these opportunities in life. You can overcome these issues in life. You can dream bigger, because I think that faith, it gives you that dose of confidence that you need in life. The day I was elected the vice president of South Dakota State University, thinking I'm this big man on campus, my girlfriend broke up with me. And, so you look at that as a real negative, but then on the other hand, that summer when I went back home to Yankton, I met my bride, Cindy. We dated for 5 years, and we've been married for 30. So for 35 years, I've been with what I consider the most beautiful woman inside, and my gosh, you got to see her, because she's beautiful on the outside too. And yeah, we've been through so much, including this sixth grade dream that I've had to be a public servant. Ultimately, all these things that God is providing, They make you better. They make you stronger. They make you more resilient. I was asked to go to Europe with Citibank, and actually Cindy, my bride, and Kyla, my daughter, they were in Europe with me at the time, and it was one night, Cindy and I were laying in bed in a hotel overlooking Kensington Palace there in London, and we had to figure out what country in Europe we were gonna to go to work for Citicorp. And we were sitting there talking about it, and we decided the country we wanted to live in was South Dakota. I had this public service gig dream that I had. I knew that I wanted to be with family and the good people of this area. And after months of negotiation, they did offer me an opportunity to come back to Sioux Falls, South Dakota. But at the same time, I was being courted by another entity, and at the last minute, I took a counteroffer from a gentleman or from a company, and ended up going in a different career path. I worked there for 10 years, and then ultimately went to my boss and the owner of the company, and told them both that I was serious, but knowing that, there was a ton of risk involved. But it was a dream that I had, and I wanted to be successful. And so, yes, was I nervous? Did I know there was some risk? Yeah, but I was very, very methodical and reasoned in my approach too. I was serious about this, and you can certainly do your part in terms of taking, what God provides you to try to make, good decisions, or to try to plan accordingly, and to try to set, steps along the way to kind of prepare you. And that's what I did, and ultimately resigned from my executive vice president role at the 10th largest credit card firm in America. And I quit full time to try to serve the people of Sioux Falls as their mayor. All these things that I want to do that are on my magic list, I have found that there's got to be part of it that you have to give up and you have to put in God's hands, and you can enjoy it more, and that's what I've tried to do, and that's kind of where Jesus Calling is coming. It's just been one of the tools in my toolbox that's helped me, realize that. I was invited to go meet with another very, very influential person in our town. We were both, here we are, these high-profile leaders within the community, and as we got to talking like brothers, like old friends, even though we weren't old friends, we just kind of started to break down some of the barriers that you have as guys, and we really started to just kind of confide in each other, and so we started to talk, and he said some things, I said some things, and it was just a wonderful, wonderful meeting. And all of a sudden, Jeff said, Mike, I am gonna tell you something though. That helps me, and one of the things that he told me about was Jesus Calling and the daily passages within it. And so he's telling me about it, and all of a sudden he reaches down under his desk and he hands me a Jesus Calling book, my Jesus Calling book. And he said, Mayor, he goes, I want you to have this, and I hope it's as powerful to you as it's been to me. You need to see my book someday, because even though it's not that old, I've only been using it since May 1 of 2013. It looks worn. I've got yellow sticky notes. I've got highlighting. I've got these funny notes. I've got like boom. I've got Mike, slow down. I've got all these stars or smiley faces. I've got fantastic with 2 exclamation points. I've got the best one. I've got Kylie and David. I've got all these things that are written, all over it. And again, I found it very, very powerful for me. And now, I've tried to share it with others too.
Mike Huether learned what it meant to truly let go of his daughter as she moved into a new season of her life, and passed on a special legacy to those closest to his family.
If you go to the August 23rd passage within Jesus Calling, it starts off in this way. It says, "Entrust your loved ones to me. Release them into my protective care. They are much safer with me than in your clinging hands." And that's how it starts off. And then if you go down to the next paragraph, it says, "When you release loved ones to me, you are free to cling to my hand. As you entrust others into my care, I am free to shower blessings on them. My presence will go with them wherever they go, and I will give them rest." And then it goes on. And I got to thinking, I'm going, here I am. This is my only daughter. I love her dearly. She's been my boy. She's been my girl. She's been everything to me. But yet I do have to really kind of release her from my care. Not only release her to David, her husband-to-be, but, I had to truly release her into God's hands. And then I got to thinking, I go, wow, this is really powerful. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to try something here. I'm going to do something here. I kind of had my role as a dad. And the advice that I was given was, show up, shut up, and pay up. That was kind of my role. But Kylie, she said, "Dad," she goes, you do have the opportunity to engage the guests and give, a speech. And that was the part that I was, specifically given. And so, again, I wanted to take it seriously. And so, I thinking through it and trying to figure out, what I should do and what I should say and even, what would be a kind of a unique gift. And I thought, you know what, I'm gonna try to get everybody a Jesus Calling book as a gift for the wedding. Not only did I give them, give all the guests a copy of Jesus Calling, however, I also talked about as part of my speech, I brought back that August 23rd passage and tried to explain it to the audience in terms of, how this journey happened and how they're now part of it. Jesus Calling was part of it. It definitely made an impact, and it was unique and it was special, and I think it created a pretty cool memory.
As Mayor Huether continues to serve his community, embrace a new reality for his family, and celebrate becoming a grandfather, he seeks perspective daily from Jesus Calling and takes joy in sharing the wisdom he's found with others.
It brings faith to your life in a very, very simplistic but impactful way. And I think that's something that people are looking for. They want it to be real. They want it to be understandable, and they want it to be impactful. And I think that's what the Jesus Calling book does. I think that it does. I mean, you can read the daily passage in a minute. You can understand it, and you can relate to it, and then you can choose to pray on it more or think about it more. But it does impact you regardless whenever you read it.
Next time on the Experience Jesus Calling podcast, we speak with author and speaker Sherry Gregg as she relates her experience facing her oldest daughter's imminent graduation from high school and her journey away from home to start college.
I would really have these swings of emotions. In 1 minute, I would be very focused, trying to help her achieve her goal. And in the next minute, I would kind of wake up and think, what am I doing? I'm helping her leave me. I don't want her to leave me. This is insane. Why am I doing this? But then after the panic would pass, I would realize I'm supposed to be doing this. This is a good thing. And I would go back to the appropriate job of, helping her get on her way. But each time I've taken her away on a trip, there's definitely a moment I'll look over at her and the car on the campus, and it's all I can do to keep from breaking down. It's just hard to let go.
A mother's courage and faith as she looks toward a child leaving the nest, and the hopes she has for all of her children. Next time on the Experience Jesus Calling podcast. Our excerpt from Jesus Calling for this show comes from the August 23rd entry.
Entrust your loved ones to me. Release them into my protective care. They are much safer with me than in your clinging hands. If you let a loved one become an idol in your heart, you endanger that one, as well as yourself. Remember the extreme measures I took with Abraham and Isaac. I took Isaac to the very point of death to free Abraham from son worship. Both Abraham and Isaac suffered terribly because of the father's undisciplined emotions. I detest idolatry, even in the form of paternal love. When you release loved ones to me, you are free to cling to my hand. As you entrust others into my care, I am free to shower blessings on them. My presence will go with them wherever they go, and I will give them rest. This same presence stays with you as you relax and place your trust in me. Watch to see what I will do.
Do you have an experience with Jesus Calling that has had an impact on your life? We'd love to hear from you. Visit JesusCalling.com and share your story with us.